So when you run API calls and they fail like we just did in the previous lecture, we can get a long error message that doesn't mean much. And we want to be able to decode it. And for this, it's a very popular question as well in the exam, you need the STS command line. So you have to run this STS decode authorization message to decode the messages. There is no better way to practice this concept, so let's have a look how this works. As you remember, when we did the EC2 run instances dry run, we got this, you're not authorized to perform this operation, and then it gave us this entire message as an authorization failure. Now we want to decode it. So for this, I'll just go on Google and type AWS STS decode authorization message. Click on it, and basically it says you can decode additional information about the authorization status of the request. So the way to use it is to just run decode authorization message, and then we pass a flag called encoded message and the value of the message. So now let's have a look how this works. We'll do AWS STS decode authorization message, and I need to make sure I get this right. We have passed the encoded message and the value. So encoded message, and we'll pass this entire message all the way from here, from the VB to the 1K. I'll paste it and press enter. And now we get, obviously, maybe you predicted it, an access denied. It's because our IAMU's role is not authorized to perform this operation, the STS. So basically, anytime you run an AWS API call, you have to authorize yourself. So we could run this straight from our computer and it will work, but just for the fun and practicing, I will authorize my EC2 instance to run this command. So let's have a look. We go back to the IAM management console and we'll edit the policy. We'll add an additional permission. For the service, we'll choose STS, and then we'll basically authorize a read or a write operation. It is actually a write operation. We'll authorize a decode authorization message. We don't need to choose resources and we don't need to specify conditions. We'll review the policy, and now we have an STS permission. We'll save the changes. And once this is done, our EC2 instance should have a statement right here, allow, saying you're allowed to decode authorization messages. That sounds about right. Now let's give it a try. So I'll run the exact same command right here. And as you can see now, we get a decoded message. Now this message, I have to admit, isn't extremely helpful right now. But if you were running an API call that had, some very interesting information, then you would get it from the STS decode message. You can always use to echo this. So let's just echo this to see how it works. We'll echo, and now we get a slightly better format of it. What I like to do is just copy this JSON file under my VS Code. So here I paste it. I say that it is a JSON document, so we get slightly better formatting. And then using a quick action, I can basically reformat, format the file, so format the selection, and this gives me a better JSON document. So as we can see now, we haven't been allowed, we didn't get an explicit denied. If it gets allowed, we get, or denied, we get a matched statements, which helps us basically drill down into why there was an errors, or if we get failures, they're also right here. And then it gives us a bunch of context around the API call that was made, such as the ID, the ARN of the API call. And for example, here we see that it's the IAM role, my first EC2 role that was running from this instance ID. Excellent. And then we try to run a run instances API call on this resource. And it turns out that all these parameters were specified. So as you can see, there's a lot happening here, but from what I want you to understand is that from this very cryptic long, let me just show it to you again, from this very cryptic long message using the STS decode authorization message, we are able to decrypt it and get valuable information out of it. And that's all you should know for the exam. You have to run the STS decode authorization message API. So I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next lecture.